Hello and welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more BattleTech. In the last video, we completed a mission that was informative in that it gave me an idea of where we're at compared to the difficulty of the mission that we encountered. So that was a 3-skull mission, and although I think our squad is capable of doing 3-skull missions, I think we're more on the level of 2.5 skulls, around about that area. So yes, we can do 3-skull missions, as I did managed to get through that one, but we did encounter the difficulty spike that sometimes you can encounter in particularly battle missions where you have 2-to-1 odds. And the other nuance to that is there is a differentiation between the difficulty of missions with how beat up your opponent is. In that case, my opponent had half armor, so that did aid me a bit, despite the fact that I was outnumbered 2-to-1, and I did get quite a bit beat up, so we do have some repairs to do. I was able to get through it. But if that opponent had full armor, which is very possible with the way that this game can work, the opponent could have had the same level of mechs and had full armor, and that would have still been a 3 difficulty mission, 2-to-1 like that. That would have been a little bit beyond us, I think. It would have been possible, but really borderline, and I think the likelihood we'd take casualties in that and that encounter is pretty decent. So I really don't want to put myself in that position, especially from a business standpoint. I want to be making money. I don't want to be risking too much in that process if I don't have to. So with that in mind, I am going to seek out more 2.5 skull missions because that's more appropriate, I think, to where we are. But I am also going to try and improve our squad a little bit as well to get us up to that level, if at all possible. I have some experiments I want to do. Now, having taken a look at things, one thing I've kind of decided based off of where I am reputation-wise with the factions that are out there, I've more or less maxed out the Urana Restoration. I'm sure this number can keep going up, but the bar is as full as it can get, and I think the benefits we can get from this reputation level is as high as it's going to be. And these benefits are quite good, so I think spreading it out on more factions would be a good idea. We get a reduction in prices at stores if that faction controls that particular system, and we get more pay if we get to a certain level. So that sounds like a good idea. With that in mind, unfortunately, I still am kind of locked into where I can go. We still have the neutral territory over here that we had in the beginning of the game. We have the Urana Restoration territory, which we really don't want to be in because the only missions we get is from them. And then we have the Tarian Concordant over here. We have been here before, but I was only here one time. Now, it seemed like the missions were more from other factions, but that's still giving me reputation or somebody. It seems like, from what I saw there, reputation-wise, the two that like me the most outside of the Urana Restoration is House Liao over here, and these guys over here, the Canopians. So this isn't so far away from the Urana Restoration. Probably be a good idea to improve our relationship with them so that eventually we are able to go into their space. We also had missions available from House Davian over here. So again, they're not too far away from Tarian space. So, you know, this could be a hub of where we're doing a lot. So it'd be nice to get those particular factions improved. So where could we end up? Well, we were at New Vandenberg, and that is where we want to be as far as difficulty, but I'm also trying to find particular equipment that is going to improve our squad and what I like to use equipment-wise. And we didn't really find that here, unfortunately, despite it having some attributes here like research and mining and manufacturing and things like that that I thought would improve our odds of getting some cool items. We didn't really find that there, but there may be some other systems in the area. So let's take a look. Okay, so that's 3 skull, not really where I'm looking at. Okay, so this is 2 skull, and let's see what we've got. Well, plague quarantine, that doesn't sound promising. What does that say? One more plants in the system are quarantined due to a particularly virulent biohazard, possibly an uncontrolled bioweapon. Well, that might be bad, but let's see what else we got here. We've got black market. That could be really good for us. Intersphere level civilization. Okay, they're rich. So this could be a good system to go to. Right on where we want to be difficulty-wise, and it has some attributes. I don't know what plague quarantine is going to mean for us. Maybe there's going to be some events that happen. But let's see some other systems here. So that's 3 skull, 3 skull, 2 skull. So that's, you know, that's not too far away from Brisbane. As a matter of fact, the travel time's the same. I have noticed that despite the fact that this is a further distance, sometimes travel time can actually be shorter with longer distances, and I think it has something to do with how many jumps you have to do and how close that jump point is to the system. Because as we see, when you are traveling somewhere, normally your ship, the Argo, travels to where the jump ship is. So there's that time that it takes to get to the jump ship. and then you take the jump ship, and it drops you off, and then you have a time that you're traveling away from the jump ship. And I think that can vary. How far you have to travel away from the jump ship can vary. So I think a good example, yeah, here. So New Vandenberg and Brisbane, they seem to be about as far away from each other as we're, the same distance. But the travel time for New Vandenberg is longer. It's actually longer than traveling to this system. So it's kind of weird, and it takes a while to get used to because you really don't know how the jump points work, but it's just a thing. But yeah, this has manufacturing, mining, and some other attributes, inner sphere level civilization that could be good for us, and it's that difficulty level we're looking for. So there we go, 2.5 skulls. I think we could do that if we wanted to. And again, manufacturing, small population, so maybe we wouldn't see, but it looks like we're having a number of systems here that could be promising. Okay, there's another system that's 2 skull, 2 skull, 2 skull. And then that's a little bit beyond where we want to be. But yeah, so there's a decent number of stops here. They're going to provide us missions, but they're also a planet we can check out, see what's in the store. So it sounds good. I think I'm going to start with Brisbane, despite the fact that this system is the same travel distance. I think we're going to start here just, because the distance is, physically shorter. And we'll go from there, and we'll just kind of explore around. And we'll stay around here. And I'm going to try and do all of my non-story missions from here on out outside of Urano restoration space. Okay, with that being said, we've got some things to do, and the first thing I want to do before I forget is do our ship upgrade, because we did just finish doing an upgrade in the last video. So from what I remember, we have a lot of things that we could get, but we can't get because we need the beta pod, which is this upgrade here. I think that's true for almost everything here. So, and in particular, the med bay, which is something I think I really want to get, because I think getting the improvement medical points would probably be a good idea. So let's take a look at this. And I'm not going to worry too much about how much it costs, because I'm going to try and revamp some of our costs by selling some things here. I haven't really done that much yet, but I think we can sell some things and get some of this money back. So 900,000 is quite a bit of money. We don't have a lot of money in the bank right now. We end up with 1.6 million, and considering the costs that we have, costs us about $500,000 per month. That is a decent chunk of cash, but I think we'll be all right. As long as we don't get screwed too much in the mission selection when we show up at our destination. Let's go ahead and purchase this.
Roger that, Commander.
And there we go. And that will unlock a lot of other things for us. We could have done the mech bay instead, but I'm not really ready for that third level. Unfortunately, the other thing we get from the beta pod is increasing the capacity of mech warriors we can have, which I'm really not maxed out anyway, but it unlocks a lot of other stuff, so I think it's still good for us. As a matter of fact, I think we need it for this as well. And I would like to upgrade this, because getting some of our, less utilized mech warriors some experience would be nice. All right. So that's that. Let's now go to the mech bay. And the one thing I'm going to do that I think is going to improve us a bit is I'm going to transition from using the Jenner as our scout mech, and I'm going to use, I think, the Wolverine. Because I've been doing a little bit of math in my head. And we would have more damage with the Wolverine. I mean, we could just see that straight up probably with the bar, yeah. We get more damage. Now, you have more ground speed with the Jenner, but the jumping movement of the Wolverine is exactly the same as the Jenner. Now, I could modify the Jenner to have more, but I'd have to strip things out to do that. I also have more armor, which is good because we're starting to see sensor lock that our opponent's using, so we don't want them to be able to single out our scout and just, destroy them, which is one of the reasons why we're going to be selling some of our stuff that we have in storage, because lighter mechs that have not a lot of armor are going to be less useful to us if they can sensor lock and just, wipe out our scout mechs. We want to have a little bit of armor on us. Now, the Jenner is okay because we have a decent amount of armor. But still, we've got firepower improvements that we can get with the Wolverine. I think I already upgraded the AC5, so we get even a little bit more damage than it normally would have. But we also get the stability damage that we don't have with the Jenner, which I think is pretty useful. So I'm going to do some refitting here. I have thought about doing some refitting of the Griffin. One thing I've thought about doing is removing the small laser, because when we get to 3 skull difficulty, we're starting to have mechs that outweigh me. It doesn't make the Griffin as viable of a punching mech. So maybe just up armor it a little bit. rather than have a small laser. We could get a little bit of firepower at that point blank range, but you really want to be at point blank range against a mech that's just going to punch you out. I mean, I think I learned that lesson in that one priority mission I was in, where I started trading punches with a dragon, and the dragon more or less won that engagement. Although I think the dragon may have had that upgrade, that arm mod that gave it more damage for punching. You know, that's beside the point. It's a thought I've had, but I don't know if I'm going to make that change just yet. I think we're just going to do the basic repairs that we need, which seemingly is not too much for the Griffin. We have some repairs for the Dragon, which is a little bit more extensive here. And then we have some repairs with the Trebuchet as well. Now, I still kind of have this goal to get another support mech. Either one that's an improvement over the Trebuchet or one that's on par with the Trebuchet. But I feel like I just don't have the right parts. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the traveling I'm going to be doing. But, as I said, I want to do a little bit of refitting here. I'm going to remove the comm system. Now, this is experimental. I don't know if the Wolverine's going to be better than the Jenner. And we're just going to try it out. It's going to give us some more tonnage, which is seemingly the game likes, but it's going to give us all those other things that I mentioned. So I'm going to remove the comm system because that's good for us. It does give us morale in the battles. And I'm going to remove that. It shouldn't take really much time or money to do. And then we just install it in the Wolverine. And if that turns out not to be what we want to do, we could always put it back in the Jenner. It wouldn't cost us much money or time. So not a big deal. So let's go ahead and refit this. And because the comm system doesn't take up really any tonnage, this is fine to do. And then I realize it's not because of the medium lasers in the head. Okay, so we may want to do the Shadowhawk instead then. Which that's going to require a refit. Okay, I should have checked that before I did that. I like the Wolverine for what it is. But if we're going to use the Scout, I like the comm system. I could put that in any mech. It doesn't really have to be our Scout. I just do that more for roleplay reasons. But the Shadowhawk can approach what we do with the Wolverine. I mean, it almost is already set up for that anyway. We have increased damage. I think I have other AC5s though. But I could up the jump jet number by removing the small laser. That's a pretty easy change. And then we have more or less the same capabilities that the Wolverine had. Just in the Shadowhawk, but then I have that head slot. So I think that's why I'm going to use the Shadowhawk over the Wolverine. And then the Wolverine, I guess, will be a backup mech for either, you know, again for our Scout, but for some of our other mechs like the Griffin. If the Griffin's out, that would be a backup for that. Let's see what we have as backup AC5s. Okay, so I have plus 10 damage, so that's significant damage upgrade. And then I have some stability damage. And I did talk about one of the reasons why I want to use one of these heavier mechs is for the stability damage we could garner from it. So yeah, let's remove the small laser. Let's upgrade. I think I want the damage over these other things. This gives us more accuracy and what have you. And the stability damage, this one really here is tempting because of the high stability damage. But I think when it comes down to it, I like the idea of the raw damage. So let's go ahead with that. And this is going to be a relatively a cool running mech. And then the last half ton is going to be a jump jet. So I think I'm going to put some in the legs. Kind of like move these around a bit. Comm system up there. Jump jet there. Now, one person did point out to me, and you know, this is a valid point, and I didn't necessarily realize this, but I've kind of realized this by seeing it. When SRM ammo takes a crit, it just takes out whatever section it's in. So in the tabletop game, it makes sense to put the ammo in the center torso because the way that the tabletop game works and the way that crits are determined, you have more things in your center torso, so you're kind of hiding the ammo amongst those other things because when you're getting that crit, it's determined between all of the things. So if you only have one thing in a location and you get a crit there, it's going to be that one thing. It has to be a crit on an object that is in that location. So it's going to be that thing. So if you put ammo in a place by itself, it makes it more likely it's going to happen. And in a tabletop game, when ammo goes up, it's going to kill you regardless of where it is, unless you have some of the higher tech that, you know, we don't have access to anyway. So, you know, it's a moot point. But In this game, it only destroys the location that it's at. So by having it in the center torso, I'm actually making it more likely it's going to kill me. So it makes more sense to actually move the ammo to a different location. I think, kind of a popular thing to do is put it in the legs, because then it's less likely to be quote unquote lethal. But if you lose both legs, you're going to die. So this could kill you. I think the thinking to that though is you're not going to have weaponry in there. So it's not going to take up some of your weapons capability, but it is going to cripple your mech and how far it can move and other things. So I'm not going to do it from that standpoint. So that's my rationale. And I'm going to move these heat sinks up here. Again, I'm keeping it with the mindset of I'm trying to put more things in the mech just to... I don't know, I guess just make it less likely that the ammo is going to get a crit. Maybe that's not how this game works, but in my mind, playing from the experience from tabletop game, that's how I think of it as working, so that's why I'm doing it that way. All right, I think this thing's more or less set up. Let's go ahead and confirm. I did quite a bit of flopping around of stuff, so I'm sure there's going to be a decent amount of time and cost. All right, that's not too bad, though. Most of that is just installing the AC5, which is really just an upgrade.
Right. I'll get it in the schedule.
Okay, so there we go. Our Shadowhawk's going to be our new scout. At least that's the idea, and we will have jumping movement of 5, I think, when we're done, if I did that jump jet setup right. All right. I think we're ready to go, so let's go ahead and start traveling. I think we've done... Oh, no, that's not right. I wanted to do the store. Get some of our money back. Okay, let's go to sell. And we should have a decent number of chassis to sell, and I may sell some equipment as well. So I'm going to keep the Commander for now, even though the likelihood I'll use it isn't that high. But I think the Locusts, they've kind of run their course for the reasons I've kind of said. We get sensor locked, and they go after a Locust. It doesn't have enough armor, especially the 1M variant. And it's just going to get taken out. Yeah, I can use LRMs, indirect fire, but... I don't think the scout is best used that way, because if you're locking opponents up with your sensor lock, then you're not firing the LRMs, so you're not being a support mech. So kind of defeats the purpose in my mind. In the beginning stages of the game, when everything is lighter, maybe it works, but now I don't think it does. We'll sell that. We'll sell the other Locust variant. I think the Spider has the same maneuverability, actually better maneuverability than a Locust, so that'll be our stand-in if that's what we wanted. So I'm not going to sell the Spider, but I am going to sell a Panther, because in my opinion, the Vindicator, which we have, we have one, is going to be better than the Panther for all the uses that you'd use a Panther for. It has the same movement, it has the same firepower, give or take. It's more or less a similar setup. But it's heavier and has more armor. So why would you take the Panther over a Vindicator? So that's why I'm getting rid of this. All right, so we're getting there. And let's look through here, see things that we are having, a decent number of. And maybe we could get rid of. And we have a fair number of large lasers. Probably a thing we're going to have a ton of, yeah, is medium lasers. All right, I think that's the main thing I'm going to sell for now. Maybe an SRM4 or an 6 we could sell, although I really like those and I use them commonly. And I probably have an overabundance of ammo that I don't need, but just for replacements, I'm going to keep them around. But the medium lasers, that's probably more than we're going to ever need, and we should have some on store for replacements, obviously, and this is something I'm going to use commonly. But with it in mind, I should be easy to replace, because we're going to have this as salvage commonly. So let's go ahead and sell some of these. Oh, I should have put these in. I think I'm going to end up doing that, so forgot about that. I'm going to go down to, I don't know, let's say 16. That sounds decent enough. And we get some of our money back. I'm going to go back to the mech bay, and kind of forgot to do this.
Hey, Commander.
Or I should have done this. I want to replace the lasers that are in the Blitzgriffin. We'll just stop that work. And we'll do a refit and replace those lasers. So this is a good time, I think, to remove that small laser. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so let's repair all these things, just so I don't forget. We'll remove both the medium lasers and the small laser. As I said, I don't know if it is going to be as useful in the future. And we'll replace medium lasers with these more special ones. We've got the damage up. Yes, so getting where we want to go. And the accuracy up. And hopefully we don't lose those. But now I have a half ton of armor to put on, so that's what I'm going to do. So I think just to start, I'm going to focus on frontal armor. I think I've done a decent amount of upgrading to the rear armor. And the only place I think I would even put one tick would maybe be on the rear armor here to get it up to 40. But let's go through and I'll give it one tick across the front. Like that. I guess I'll do one here to get it up a little bit. And then do we have enough to do the rest of... I guess I'll do this, and that should be it. Just get a little bit of armor in the front, mostly. And I think that's just going to help us out quite a bit. So let's confirm. So it's going to take longer to do things, but not that much longer because we didn't do a ton of changes. And confirm. Alright, so we're done with all the changes, so let's get moving to our next location, which is going to be Brisbane, where we're going to start.
I'll let you know when that's done.
Actually, well, the travel contract's over there. I don't want to go there, so we're going to go to Brisbane, travel. That course. And we should be done with all our work before we get there. I mean, we see that right there on the... Well, actually, it's further down.
All hands, make ready for docking maneuvers.
Yeah, so we're getting there. I also should look at my pilots and see what we need to do as far as giving them, using their experience. Yeah, we're done with all that. Unfortunately, Glitch is going to be out for a little while, but we have Jalopy to take her place, and I would eventually like to have her as our backup pilot in that regard.
Yes, Commander.
Like to get her up to this, because this is an important skill to have. Another benefit to going and doing these a little bit easier missions gives us that opportunity to get the experience up where we need it to be.
Undocked from jump ship. We're clear.
Then we'll take a look at the contracts once we get here and see what we have to pick from. Alright, Pirates ambush the Argo. Well, this is a familiar one. We've had this one before, but unfortunately we're not liked by the Tarians like we were in the Arana Restoration, so we can't use that. We're not criminals, so we can't do that. Alright, let's see what we've got. I think this is just the same event. I don't think this is at all different. No, it isn't. Alright, so it says, while you consider your options, Mirai pipes up. Commander, if you can buy me some time, I could do a rapid fire up at the Leopard. That'll teach them not to mess with us. So either pay them, or you stall until the Leopard is ready, which is risky. Well, I think that paying them off, although we wouldn't take any damage, has its own risks. And we saw what happened when I used this, broadcast to the authorities. I took an injury, right? So something similar to that could happen. And all things considered, it may be the kind of price that, you know, we may not be able to pay. But money is tight, and paying $50,000 to these guys, and there may be other ramifications of that, I don't really know, may be problematic. But I don't think I want to take this kind of damage. I don't know. I don't want to know what this is going to do. So I'm going to pay him off, even though I think bad things are going to happen. Okay, yeah, that's quite a bad thing. We got morale decreased by 2. Our morale is quite good, but that's unfortunately bad. Following your pride, you approve the payment. The look of disappointment on Samire's face echoes that of the rest of the bridge crew. Adding insult to injury, the voice of the bridge's speaker drips with satisfaction. A wise decision, Commander. You're welcome in our space anytime. As the pirate ships disappear into the starry distance, it's not the first time you find yourself wishing the Argo was a battleship. Well, it's unfortunate, but I don't think we could risk any damage to our crew or our, mechs or whatever could happen. I don't want that to happen, so... Oh, well. I didn't really expect that one to pop up again, because that's the second time we've had that event.
We've arrived at our destination, Commander.
Alright, well, let's visit the store first, as that's why we're here, to see if there's anything cool here. So let's go through this. We have an AC-20. It gives us an accuracy up. Not really that tempting in the grand scheme of things. Large laser. Okay, so far so... Ah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Stuff like this. We finally got a damage upgrade on an LRM-15. Finally. All right, let's buy this sucker. We are going to want to put that on the trebuchet, but unfortunately, we are also going to want to do a mission with the trebuchet, so we may have to wait until we're done on this planet before we do that. PPC, accuracy up, so it seems like accuracy is the main thing. An SRM-4 with damage up, that's probably worth it, and it's not that expensive, so I'll buy that as well. And then other than that, do we have any cool... No equipment that's cool, and I didn't see any mech parts either. Nope. All right, so the SRM-4 I'm gonna buy. I value the damage upgrades over all else, and again, money's tight. We can't just be buying an AC-20 that's going to cost me 400,000 and all it is an accuracy upgrade. I would like a damage upgrade. I'd like this thing to be a little bit more. I mean, really, damage is what I think counts. If you have a well-skilled pilot, the accuracy upgrade is not going to matter as much. There's certain circumstances would be great, but I'd really like the weapon to be improved in some other way. All right. Well, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the contracts, see what we have available to us, and see what we may want to do here. Okay. So we've got a few different missions here, all of which are around about the difficulty I want. This is a little bit lower than what I'm looking for, but, I'll take it. So we've got a battle. We've got a ambush convoy. I don't think we've done this in a while. We have done this mission, but not in a while. An assassinate. Now, I've never done an assassinate mission in this campaign. I've done it in my other play of this game, not this particular series, but... So I know what the mission's like. But yeah, as our company, we've never done an assassinate mission. So this would be a new experience for us. All right, well, that gives us an idea of what we're going to be up against. They're all from the Capellans, so again, despite the fact that we're in Tarian space, we only have missions from an outside party, which is, again, fine. This is, I think, of all of the factions, this is the one that likes me the most, so getting that somewhere where we start getting benefits from that would be nice. And that's what we're going to strive to do. So we will, let's decide on what contract we'll want, and then we'll pick things up in the next video here as, I think this is a good point to wrap up. But let's go ahead and see what we've got. So we've got repossession. A pirate leader has fallen behind on payments for their armored vehicles, and our leasing agent has been unable to repossess the heavily armored vehicles. We've decided that sending a more explosive message is the best way to ensure that others do not take future liberties. Okay. And it's in Tundra, so we wouldn't have to worry about heat. And it'd be at least some vehicle opponents, I would assume. Maybe mechs. Pay is the best out of all the missions here. So, that, honestly, this is probably the one I'm going to end up doing. And salvage is decent, but I'll probably go more for the pay than the salvage. Here we've got an ambush convoy. We've become aware of a convoy transporting supplies to a Tarian facility. We'd like those supplies to become lost, if you take my meaning. So pretty straightforward here. Salvage is better than the pay is, so maybe we go more salvage on that one. We don't know what the convoy escort's going to be like. Probably mechs, maybe vehicles. And then we've got escaping spy. So this is where you have to assassinate somebody. And from what I've seen so far of all the assassinate missions I've done, they're always in a mech. That may be different for this particular mission, but I think that's probably what we're going to see. So at least you have a minimum of 1 mech. So, but from these missions, this one is the most appealing to me at the moment, Repossession. So I think that's the one we're going to do. So in any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.